guys, it's Geo. Welcome back. So I hope you've all had a great half term and a great Easter. And as you know, all of us teachers are putting out some little videos throughout the half term break for some activities that you can get on with while you don't have any schoolwork and you might be stuck at home. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I hope that you've watched the other teachers' videos. I've watched a couple of them. I think they're so funny. So if you're getting a bit bored, that's definitely something you should check out. There's been all sorts of activities going on, makeup tutorials and everything like that, making soap and things. So literally just go check those things out. I'm sure you'll have a great time doing them. Today I'm going to be making some Easter biscuits. Yes, biscuits. And if you want to join in at home, you can make the biscuits as well, or you can just watch me do it if you want to as well. That's absolutely fine. So I'm going to take you through step by step and we're going to make some biscuits together. Sound good? Cool. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 190 degrees, 170 degrees fan and gas mark 5, depending on which oven you have. And you can get your grown-up to help you with that. And you need to wash your hands, it's very important. Make sure that your biscuits are clean and so you can feed them to your family and they're not going to get ill. And washing your hands is really important right now. So go wash your hands, sing happy birthday, pause the video right now, do it and come back and we will make some biscuits. Perfect. Happy birthday to you. So these are the ingredients that you're going to need for your biscuits. First, we've got 400 grams of plain flour. You probably won't use all of it, but just measure out 400 grams so that you've got it if you need it. 200 grams of white caster sugar, 1 egg, which we're going to beat in a minute, and 200 grams of unsalted softened butter. So that's all the stuff that you need for your biscuits. It's only 4 ingredients, it's super easy. Okay guys, so the only utensils that you're going to need to make the actual dough for your biscuits is a big mixing bowl like this, just a big one that you can put your ingredients in, a whisk. I prefer using a smaller whisk because I find that the bigger ones don't do it as precisely and as easily, and a wooden spoon, which I'm sure you all have in your house. That's all you're going to need utensils wise, and let's just get started, shall we? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our butter, 200 grams soft unsalted butter, and we're just going to put it in our bowl like that. I'm going to use the whisk to kind of get it out of this bowl. That's it. And in with that, we're just going to put the sugar. So that's 200 grams of white caster sugar in the bowl. So as you can see, they're in there together. And you're just going to whisk it to incorporate them together. So what you want is you're going to want like a little sugary buttery paste, and then we're going to add our other ingredients to it. So if you just whisk that up. Okay, so once you've finished mixing, it should look a little something like this. So it sort of mimics the consistency of a soft fudge. So once you've got to that point, you can set that aside. And if we take our egg from earlier, what we're going to do is we're just going to crack it into a little pot and whisk it up with a little fork. So if you just crack the egg, you might need to get a grown-up to help you with that because it can be a little bit difficult. And we're just going to whisk it together with a little fork. Okay, so just keep whisking until your egg looks a little something like this. And then you're going to take the bowl back and put the egg in the bowl with the sugar. Just pour that in there. Make sure that's all in. And then we're going to use the whisk to mix that in again. Right, so I've just been mixing that with the whisk. And then I use the wooden spoon at the end to sort of get it all off from around the edges and everything. It looks a little bit like a thick cake batter at the moment. So that's the sort of texture that we're going for, a little something like that. The next ingredient we're going to add, and our last ingredient, is the flour. So what I recommend that you do is add it gradually until it gets to a biscuit dough, and I'll show you in a minute what you want the dough to look like.
I don't know if I got it, but you add it gradually.
You add it. Alright guys, there comes a certain time in the process where you'll want to get your hands in to make your dough into a bit of a ball, because it becomes a little bit difficult to mix with a spoon when it gets a little bit thicker. So I'm almost done with my dough. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. But you just want to sort of move it around, make sure the butter's mixed in, because there's sometimes a little bit of butter hangs around from when you mix it the first time. Make sure that it's not too sticky or wet, but also that it's not really dry and breaking apart. And then you'll have your dough. So I'll show you what that should look like now. So this is what the dough should look like when it's done. Like I said, not too sticky, not too dry, just about right. So just keep adding flour until you get to this stage. And then we're gonna wrap the dough up in cling film, just like so, in a little ball, and then put it in the fridge for about 20 minutes. In the fridge you go. What you want to do is flour your surface so that your dough doesn't stick to the surface when you roll it out. So I'm just using some of the flour that I didn't use from earlier, and I'm just putting that on my surface like that. I like to spread it out with my hand a bit to make sure that you've got like a good surface area to roll your dough on. And really floury hands as well, apparently. And you're just gonna wanna take a rolling pin. So you just put flour on the pin like that as well so it doesn't stick. And we'll just start to flatten it out in a second, roll it out. Now I'm really lucky because I, for some strange reason, have an egg-shaped cookie cutter in my house. I don't know why we've got it. I can't remember ever using it, but bit of a stroke of luck that. I know that not everyone's gonna have an egg-shaped cookie cutter in their house because it's a bit of a weird thing to have. But if you do, brilliant. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. You can roll your dough out and cut it into any shapes you want. If you've got circular cookie cutters, if you've got heart-shaped ones, I've got dinosaur-shaped ones in my cupboard. You could use those. Again, this doesn't have to be Easter themed if you don't want it to be. I just thought it would be cool. Or if you want, you can roll it out and use a little knife to cut it into egg shapes or other shapes that you want. Just get your grown-up to help you out and they'll help you do that. So what you're gonna wanna do is take your rolling pin and start to roll your dough out. Now, we want it to be about 3 millimeters thick. And if you keep rotating your dough like that, it makes it a lot easier to get it into a nice sort of block that you can cut out of. So just keep rolling it until it gets to the correct shape for you. Right, so I've got my dough all rolled out now and I'm gonna start cutting it into shapes. Okay guys, let's get started. So what I like to do is cut into a lot of them. So as you can see, I'm just sort of cutting one after another, and then I peel back the dough at the end. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Okay, so as you can see, I've cut all of the eggs into the dough, and then what I do is I just sort of like peel it off like this, and it leaves all of the cuts behind. All right guys, so earlier I prepared some baking sheets. So they're just little baking sheets with some parchment paper on the top to make sure that the cookies don't stick to the tray, that's the word. And what you're just gonna do is you're just gonna pick up your little biscuits. I'm using a little palette knife because I do find it's a little bit easier to lift them. And just pop them on your tray like that. All right guys, so they're in the oven for 12 minutes and then we'll check and see how long they need. While we're waiting, let's have a little chat about decorations. So these are the decorations that I'm gonna be using today. I've got pink and white mini marshmallows. I've got chocolate chips here. These are sugar stars, these pink and white sugar stars. Very nice. These are like chocolate hundreds and thousands, like chocolate. What do you call these? Sprinkles. These are edible glitters. So I've got like a white one like that and a more silvery one. And then I've also got these really cool writing icings. They're like pastel writing icings, and I thought they'd be really cool for Easter because of, you know, they're pastel. And I'm gonna be making some icing of my own to put over them as a little glaze. So I'll show you how to do that now. So the ingredients that you need for the glacé icing are about half a cup of icing sugar, which I've got here on the left, and a little bit of warm water. And I'm gonna be coloring my icing. I wanna make it pink, so I'm using this gel food coloring. It's red, but I'm gonna use a little bit to make it pink. I much prefer to use gel food coloring because it doesn't change the taste and it usually has a better color payoff, but obviously use whatever you've got in your cupboards. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna put a little bit of water into your icing sugar and you're just gonna mix it in with a spoon. The consistency that we want with this is we want it to be kind of thick so it will stick to the back of a spoon, but we obviously want it to be able to go over our biscuits. I'd say that this is a pretty nice consistency for the icing. It's still a little bit runny, but it's not so bad that it's gonna go everywhere. It's quite thick. It's good. I'd say this is perfect. Let's color it. tiny bit of this red colouring goes a really long way, so I've just put in a little bit to see how it goes. See, look how red that is. What do you think of the icing? No? I think it looks nice, guys, so don't worry about it. The biscuits are out of the oven and I've just put them on these wire cooling racks for them to cool down before we decorate them. Exciting! So here are some finished cookies. As you can see, they're not all the same because no batch of cookies is perfect, guys. So I'm just gonna decorate them now and I'll just show you me decorating them. Right guys, so here are some of the Easter eggs that I decorated. I've got some stars on that one, some sprinkles on that one. There's so many things you can do with these guys, so get baking, take some photos, send me your results. I'd love to see them and I hope you have a lovely rest of your Easter break. Okay, see you next week, bye! Taste test.